What's up, Airbnb hosts? In this video, I'm going to explain you how you can convince your landlord to allow you to rent out on Airbnb.
Get paid for your pet.
A few days ago, Airbnb and Pillow announced a new partnership with Veritas to enable landlords and tenants to share their homes on Airbnb. Veritas is San Francisco's largest urban retail and apartment building owner, and Pillow is a Airbnb management service that has software that allows landlords and tenants to cooperate renting out their units on Airbnb. Now, this is a major step forward for Airbnb, as in most buildings, tenants are not allowed to do Airbnb because their leases prohibit it. Now, under the Airbnb Friendly Buildings program, landlords and tenants work together in order to facilitate the tenants to rent out on Airbnb and share some of the profits with the landlords. And through the software that Pillow provides, landlords can have access to all the data on Airbnb, so they know when the tenants are hosting and they can see exactly how much they are making. So it's basically a way for landlords and tenants to cooperate renting out on Airbnb. Now, as of yet, there's only been a couple of buildings in San Francisco and in some other places in the US where the buildings have enrolled in the Airbnb Friendly Building program, and you can, if you live in one of those buildings, you can participate in the program. But if you do not live in one of these buildings, you can still try and convince your landlord to allow you to rent out on Airbnb. Basically, what it comes down to is you want to show landlords that there's upside for them, that there's value for them to allow you to rent out on Airbnb. And here's 3 reasons why there's upside for the landlord and why it can be a win-win situation for you as the host and the landlord. So first of all, it's in the landlord's best interest that you maintain the apartment well and that you clean it regularly. Well, when you rent out on Airbnb, this is a must. You can't rent out on Airbnb without having a well-maintained and clean unit because nobody will rent it. And secondly, if a landlord allows their tenant to do Airbnb, it's more likely that the tenant will be able to afford the rent. And obviously that's in the interest of the landlord as well, because landlords do not like tenants who are behind on rent, and they're definitely not looking to go into some legal battle to force their tenants out after they've fallen behind on rent. They'll end up with vacancy, they end up with legal costs. So it's in the landlord's best interest that you as a tenant have enough funds to pay the rent long term. And by allowing you to do Airbnb sometimes when you're out of town or when you're on holiday, that will help you afford the rent. And as we all know, rents are rising, especially in the US. So as the rents are going up, this becomes more and more important and is really a benefit for the landlord. Last of all, you could, of course, offer your landlord to share in some of your revenue. So let's say you rent out your apartment 2 or 3 times a year for like a week or 2 when you're on holiday. Now, you could tell your landlord, listen, why don't I give you 20% of the revenue so you can add that to the rent? Now, that way, the landlord makes a little bit of extra money. So when it comes to convincing your landlord to allow you to do Airbnb, it's really all about the approach. It's about showing the landlord that there's upside for them, that there's something to be gained. It's a win-win situation for you and the landlord. And also by being very transparent, letting the landlord know when you're hosting, who is going to stay in your apartment when you're away. I think that also will make the landlord more comfortable allowing you to do Airbnb.
Get paid for your pet.